Hey everyone, what's up? It's Ellie here, and I am here today taking back Redfall, apparently with an interactive adventure experience from the perspective of Layla Ellison. So, Redfall has released this sort of, I guess, an interactive adventure, as it's called, where we experience the world of Redfall. What? I am really, really excited to begin my journey here. So, let's jump in. Let's read this first. Layla Ellison, one of the four playable heroes, a vampire called the Night Manager, has been tormenting the Basswood neighborhood. Explore the area and bring the Night Manager's shift to an early end. The Night Manager, that sounds very creepy. Choose wisely. Make choices based on scenarios you might encounter in the game and click continue when you've made your decision. Consult the field notes. Hear from the heroes of Redfall. Don't move on to the next page before checking the field notes. Found at the bottom of the page with the notebook icon. Get advice from insights straight from Layla, Jacob, Devinda, and Remy. It could help inform your choices. It's never the end. Every death in Redfall is an opportunity to try again with a new strategy. Simply hit try again to be taken back to the previous scenario where you made your fatal choice. And if you make it through to the end, restart your journey to see what you might have missed. Had you made different decisions? Right. Okay, so this is a choose your own adventure and keep trying and make your way through the story. Okay, let's begin our journey. Custom console. I actually can't enter this. Australia, I've looked into it. Australia is not included. New Zealand is. Australia? No. Cannot win. Okay. So, new sheriffs in town. After restocking at the Basswood safe house, you see the Bellwether operatives patrolling the neighborhood. They're not vampires, but they're not friends either. What's the plan, Layla? All right, so A, gotta sleep in and... Oh, sleep in. Gotta sleep in. Ignore the situation. Get a good night's rest. Gotta step in and show these guys who's boss. This neighborhood belongs to the survivors. I see something shiny on the docks, just past their patrol. I'll sneak around them and check it out. We can't actually see anything, can we? And they haven't seen me yet. Probably smarter for me to just move along for now. So, I mean, these are all genuine scenarios, right? These are all situations that you'll find yourself when you play the game. Do you just ignore them for now and continue on with something you saw past them? Do you just ignore them and continue your initial objective? Or do you just step in and deal with it as you come across it? These are all realistic things that you'll come across in the game. Let's step in and show these guys who's boss. Sure, it may lead to my early demise, but who knows? Overwhelming odds. Hey, you know your friend Jacob, the professional killer who could take you out without you ever knowing he was there? Yeah, well, he used to be Bellwether. So what made you think it was a good idea to just rush a group of their operatives on your own? Okay, well, there we go. We got to try again because clearly I got myself killed. Very realistic to how I usually play games, though. All right, so move along or see something shiny. I kind of want to see what's going on with that shiny thing because that's also probably the next best thing I would do. And by best, I don't really mean the best, but you know. A glimpse into the past. Frozen memories like this one can be found all over Redfall. Oh, right. It's is that a grave lock? Grave lock, yes. You just need to know where to look. It's a mystery who these grave locks belong to, but they feel significant. So a grave lock, I think, is actually a lock of hair. So let's glimpse into the past. Oh, wow, it's like an unlisted video.
People told me it was a disease. A disease in the blood. I didn't have it, but family did. Killed all of them. I couldn't save none.
Right. Okay. So this was clearly something that someone was dying from. They had some sort of blood disorder and it killed everyone around them. Now, we kind of do learn a lot more about this. I actually know what storyline this is sort of building off from, just from my own experience in Redfall. So this is something we do learn more about later on. I don't know if we'll learn more about it in this particular interactive story. But essentially, well, I'm trying to think about how much I can say because of what has already been shown and whatnot, or what people might have already been able to put together. But, you know, clearly there was something that needed research to be put into it to fix. Well, something went wrong. Vampires. There are a lot of in-betweens to those points. Those points are just the very basic way that you could probably put together what's going on. So, you know, it is an interesting insight. It gives people who have never really had to think about why this has all happened a reason to think about why it all happened. Let's see if we learn more about it just from the game itself. Let's check the field notes so far. Oh, there's a voice clip. I missed the... Wait, is this just the...
I miss thrift store.
Right.
AKA my favorite thrift store. I miss Dead Catch Records, where I literally just got the new Talons Tide album. I miss mods for the best tea and top tier aesthetic. Ugh. I miss catching truly ridiculous B movies at the Overton. Hell, I even miss grad school classes. I know what Redfall was like before Vampire Mania took over. It wasn't perfect, it wasn't exactly home, but it was where I was living my life, being independent, generally kicking ass. I don't know if things will ever get back to normal, or what that would even look like, but I want to help any way I can. And if that means rebuilding from the ground up, pass me a hard hat.
I love that. I love that they're doing this. So, you know, Layla is just a normal person. She wasn't like Jacob or Remy, or, you know, she wasn't involved in anything crazy, boots on the ground, combat, that sort of stuff. Like, she was just a regular human who was going through uni, who was studying hard and just trying to get through, you know, life. And then all of this sort of crumbled around her in a sense. I mean, will it all go back to normal? She doesn't know. She's willing to try again, which is like amazing. And she's obviously a really strong-willed person, and she's willing to help, you know, as many people as she can in any way that she can. So I think that's really sweet insight into Layla. I think we kind of already know this a little bit about her as well. Like, we know that she was just sort of a normal, probably the most normal out of everyone in the group. She was the uni student. Realistically, she was building up to have a career, and that was taken away from her. And now she probably has one of the most supernatural experiences of the whole thing. Like, the most not normal experience is now her experience, because not only is she now like infused with this weird supernatural power, like her boyfriend, or like her ex-boyfriend that she's friends with, was taken away from her too. Like, one of her best friends was taken away from her and turned into something supernatural, and that person she won't get back in a normal form. I mean, as far as we know, he's dead. Realistically, that's what's happened, right? So her life has been the most fucked up by all of this. Maybe not the most in Redfall, but the most out of the group. She had a very normal... To Devinder, this is the best thing could ever happen to him, in a way. Very terrifying and very life-threatening, but the best thing, because now he has a first-hand experience he can write about. Remy, I mean, her whole thing is search and rescue operations. I mean, this is what she does. Jacob, his whole life has been combat. Sure, this is a little bit more intensive, and yeah, in his perspective, his part of life has also been stuffed up because something supernatural's gone with him, with that gift of the sight and all that sort of thing. That supernatural aspect has been given to him, and he doesn't know what that means, and doesn't know what that means for the rest of his life. But at the same time, like, combat and fighting is in him since he was a child. Yeah. But Layla, she was just like a young adult who was just living life. Really disruptive, you'd imagine. Retail therapy. So there's a pawn shop just above the road, hovering. Spots like this are usually great places to stock up. And this one doesn't look too beat up. Maybe there's something inside that the looters didn't get to. No time to waste trying the front door. I can't tell if there's anything dangerous inside. I should find another way inside and stay quiet. There's really no time to waste. I need to keep moving. So either we just ignore this and we keep moving on. We burst through the front door, which is kind of like the approach I would have taken earlier with the Bellwether soldiers, and that didn't work out. So maybe we'll ignore that one for now, and maybe we'll quietly try to find our way inside. Some peace and quiet. You manage to slip in through an entrance around the back, and not a soul or blood-sucking fiend knows that you're here. Take a breather and claim your rewards before getting back out of here. So, let's check our field notes.
You know, I used to be able to find some cool stuff in shops like this. Redfall is loaded with weird old things. Of course, that was before the looters got most of the valuables. But every once in a while, I still find some gems in places like convenience stores and pawn shops. Not everyone can break into a locked safe, after all. But these shops can be dangerous too. If you're not careful, you could set off an alarm. And in a town like Redfall, making too much noise can get you killed.
Very good point there. And I think for that reason too, Layla might be an interesting character to pick if you want to find all those hidden kind of gem type items. Maybe, I didn't get to play as Layla, but maybe she has like voice lines or indicators to, find those smaller, forgotten kind of collectibles, because of the fact that she has this connection with thrifting and finding the interesting and odd things. That could be a possibility. I'm not too sure if that's a thing, but at the very least, I think her perspective and her, lines about those sorts of things will be particularly interesting. And she might kind of talk about other things that she's found in the past. And if you're someone who's into thrifting or into really old things, into history, that sort of stuff, Layla might have that perspective that you wouldn't have even guessed she would have. People surprise you. So let's play this. We have a rewire kit. That's something that exists in the previous Arcane games as well. Lockpicks. Classic. Not really a mini game, but just the fact that we can use them. The Shunning of Mercy Coffin by K.I. Fielding. It was a week before the townspeople of Redfall noticed that all their lamplights would extinguish at the same hour of the night, no matter the size of the flame nor the purpose of the light's necessity. And it was the final night of this darkness when the witch finder was forced to pause his writing at the dousing of the flame. It was then that he felt the cold breath at the back of his neck. "William," said a young girl's voice, choked, strangled. "Thou art damned." Interesting. Right, so K.I. Fielding, I don't know if it was specifically the Shunning of Mercy Coffin, but we did see a K.I. Fielding book in the very beginning in the announcement trailer. Let me see if I can actually get just so I can double check. I'll put it on the screen if I find it. Okay, so the Shunning of Mercy Coffin was the book that Layla was reading in the beginning at the announcement trailer. It's the first thing that we pretty much zoomed out of. This is really cool. This is excerpt 3. So similar to previous Arcane games, we're going to see books kind of chopped up into pieces that we're going to find in pages or in a couple of pages worth of notes, just scattered around Redfall. I'm assuming this is what's going to happen. So I really like that they did this as well. I like that they kept that consistency too. That's really exciting for me. And, it almost kind of sounds like we're going to be following this story, the Shunning of Mercy Coffin, and it's going to be, in a way, paralleling what we're going through in Redfall. So that in itself is going to be a really interesting thing to look out for. Make sure you read the excerpts. It could help, in a way, put the story together, or it could just be a really entertaining kind of thing to follow along with as you play the game. So I'm really excited for that. I love that I noticed that. That's really exciting. We have a safe code, safe codes. 451. No. Right. So I'm kind of disappointed that there aren't like safe codes, because I just want to run, and I run to the first like unlockable and just type in 0451 or 451. Okay, so now we can continue onwards. Missed opportunities. Haha. I think the first time I died in Redfall was because of these things. I was extremely dumb when it came to these ones. All right, so there really isn't such thing as catching a break here. If it's not vampires, cultists, or bellwether, it's this. You've encountered death mist before, but the amount here is extreme, even for this death trap of an island. And that's exactly how I felt when I played Redfall. I mean, that's the thing. You're navigating in between the factions, the different enemies, where they could be hiding. And then when you find a clear path, it's blocked by one of these things. And if you find one of these things, it essentially means that you're going to be having some sort of combat interaction. The reason being is that the way to destroy it, well, is a little bit more chaotic than you'd like. So let's read the options here and then read our field notes. I need to find a way to destroy the source. There must be a way to deal with this where I don't have to die. B, I'm going to make a run for it. I made it through Death Mist before and lived to tell the tale. And C, there's always another way around, especially when you have a sweet magical elevator to help you rise above. You can destroy these, you can get them out of your way. You have to find a way to destroy the source, which is clearly this weird, goopy, gross thing in the middle. I believe it's like a vampire being birthed or something like that. Like, there's a vampire in there. I mean, you can clearly see a hand and a head. So, and when you do, when I was attacking these in Redfall, like, they scream. And there's usually, from what you know, when you're attacking it, because it yells, I don't know if there's like a psychic connection or whatever and a vampire appears, or there's always a vampire nearby anyway that will hear it, but you almost always have a combat with a vampire when you're taking this out, because it will alert a nearby vampire or whatever happens. It's like they always have at least like one guardian or something nearby, from what I could put together. Essentially, the way that you destroy it is not by shooting it, not by melee hitting it, and every second counts when you're attacking it, because you're going to be in this red mist. So long distance shots aren't going to do anything about it. You have to be up in its face with the right tools. And this red mist will slowly eat away at your health and eventually kill you. So that's why there's an option to make a run for it. So you can just run through the mist, but sometimes you'll be in a situation where they produce a lot of mist. Sometimes you'll be in a situation where there's two of them in a row. So I've done that before. Another reason why I've died is once I realized how to get rid of these things and get rid of the red mist, I realized that I could just run through them and it'd be fine. There was one time where I decided to run through it and hope everything would be fine, realizing only until I was midway that there was another one. So my path to freedom got extra long and my health was going down a lot. And that's one of the way I died. It was chaotic. I ended up alerting enemies somehow, and most of my health was gone because I was running through the red mist. So definitely not the smartest way to do things, but it is an option. You can run through that red mist and get out of it as quick as possible. You don't always have to deal with those little blood thingies. Especially when you're Layla and you have abilities like the elevator or your Devinder and you can translocate away, you can pass these obstacles a lot easier. I played as Remy, so there wasn't as much option for me in terms of that. Of course, I could have just used my brain and found a way out, but you know, hey. All right, so Devinder has given us some field notes based on these things. Of course, he's going to know a little bit more about this stuff than Layla is. I mean, at least you'd hope so. I mean, he's the science man. Well, at least he's the cryptid science man. Layla is the science lady. So, well, let's get into it.
The streets of Redfall are overflowing. Sometimes it's with blood, and sometimes it's with the aptly named Death Mist. Spend too much time in the mist, and you'll surely meet your end.
This is so dramatic.
But it's not just the mist covering the ground that we have to contend with. Some cultists have found ways to weaponize the Death Mist, transforming it into a ghoulish sort of grenade. It's quite distressing, truth be told.
Yeah. So that's another thing. The cultists have kind of bottled up the Death Mist, and they actually use it as a grenade. So it's another type of weapon. I don't think you can use it back at them because they don't seem to take damage from it, from what I can tell. So I'm unsure if we can use the Death Mist against them, but they can surely use that Death Mist against us. So that is a common thing, that if you're fighting cultists, that they are going to throw grenades at you with Death Mist, and that can actually screw you up in some situations. So you got to be careful for that. It doesn't last too long either. It doesn't last a painfully long time, but sometimes it can just be enough, especially if you're already low health and it's hard to get out of the position that you're in. So what are we going to do in this situation? I think, I really just want to get rid of it, right? That's why I'm an A person. There's always another way around. I could. Let's see if we die. Let's see. All right. Death Mist kindly stopped for me. Knowledge is power, and now you know how to destroy the source of these pockets of Death Mist and clear the air, even if it's for only a little while. Still, all information is good information. All right. Let's watch it. There we go. So yeah, as you can kind of see and hear there was a loud screaming. So that's where in my head, I'm thinking it's some sort of birthing process to becoming a vampire. I'm not too sure, but that's what's in my head. There's clearly something alive in there. And then, yeah, the only way to kill it is to be using those UV rays and actually get rid of it like you would a vampire. So let's continue. Out in the open, the mist is behind you, but you're still exposed on the open roads, vulnerable to watchers and cultist patrols, and all of the other darkness plaguing the island. Is there a better option? No, there's always going to be something. I'd rather head right down the street and face any danger head on. I should definitely avoid open spaces. I see some promising side streets I can check out, and I can make elevators with my mind. Let's take this party up to the rooftops and do a little scouting. Let's listen to the field notes as well.
How does that song go? Freaks come out at night. Well, thanks to the eclipse over Redfall, it's always some version of night here. That being said, we have noticed that there's a significantly smaller vampire presence on the street during what we would consider daytime. We found vampires tucked away in abandoned homes during that time, drifting in and out of some sort of trance. That's not to say they won't come out during the day. They absolutely will if they hear a commotion.
Right, so vampires have sleepy time, and it's during the most day version of the day. So I don't know kind of what this time period would be. I would still consider this night. I don't know. Well, how day does it get? I kind of remember it being moderately light at some point while I was playing Redfall. So what am I going to do here? I think we're just going to go to the rooftops. One thing that I really enjoyed was the verticality in Redfall as well. I remember kind of feeling a little bit like, wow, the world is kind of large, and I didn't really want to continuously be opening up my map to figure out where I'm going. Then I realized I can just jump on a rooftop, and I did. And you actually do see quite a lot from the rooftops, and it helps you out a lot if you can get to the higher areas to scout. I mean, you see so many potential enemies that you could have come across. You see just a lot of interesting things. It's very well worth to jump on a rooftop every once in a while and just have a look around. I Spy. You can get a bird's eye view from up here on the rooftops, and what you see is birds circling something in the distance. From here, you can also see familiar phantasmal blue walls of a nest zone. All right, so let's look at the field notes. Jacob's field notes. Let's go.
I can't say I understand how she got them, but Layla's powers are something else. I've been trained to find spots with a high vantage point. Most of the time I get into a good position long before there's any action, but sometimes you gotta improvise on the fly. With Layla's elevator, I can land exactly where I mean to, and fast. That elevator makes sniping a fair amount easier. Even if I get plenty of guff for not being appreciative enough.
So yeah, I mean, like, Jacob's definitely going to need to utilize rooftops as well. And so Layla and Jacob are a really good pairing, a lot of movement between them. And Jacob's just a really powerful character to have on your team as well. Anyway, so I think if you're definitely duoing, like a Jacob-Layla duo would be really fun and really helpful too. So what are we going to do? A, it's really, there's 4 decisions now. It's really best not to let the nests linger. B, if I've learned anything from my time in mid-vampire apocalypse Redfall, it's that if something seems hinky, it's worth looking into. I'm following the birds. I feel like I've missed something by not checking out the side streets. I should get back down there. I don't have time right now. I know the night manager's lair is close, and Basswood will keep suffering until I deal with him. Okay. So, I mean, we could go back down to the side streets and then go back up. I'm not sure how we'll go back to this point, so it makes me think that something in the side streets will happen. So we're not going to do that for now. It's really best not to let the nests linger. The longer I leave it alone, the bigger the danger zone around it will get. I think I want to go into a nest. So let's do that. I mean, there's also, if I lived anything, there's something seems worth looking into the birds. So there's 2 interesting scenarios here that could happen. I'm just going to go to a nest because I think that'll be really interesting. Breaking hearts. All right, field notes. Devinder, let's go.
More research into the vampire nests is needed. Everything about them makes them difficult to study. Especially the fact that they appear to be psychically generated and aren't exactly located in our material world. It's impossible to predict when or where they will appear. Once inside, you're surrounded by vampires, so the danger element is exceedingly high. And then, as soon as the nest heart is destroyed, the entire structure begins to collapse. What we do know is that these nests empower all vampires and cultists within their zone of influence, and the longer the nest goes unchecked, the larger the zone gets. As a man of science, I find them enthralling. As a human being, I still find them quite enthralling.
Right, okay. So, we don't know much about them. They're really hard to study because you kind of have to go into them, and they're really dangerous. They're not in the material world of Earth. They're on a different plane of existence, but seem to mirror Earth. Similar to a Stranger Things kind of situation with the Upside Down. Dangerous to be in, hard to study, and it's essentially kind of our world, but not. And it, it's collapsing too. So you have limited time to really be there, even if you get rid of the general threat, because the general threat is holding it together. You collapse them by destroying the hearts. So, nests. Just one of the many nightmares plaguing Redfall. First, you have to find the door. So that's something I found when I decided to scout the rooftops. There was one on a rooftop. I couldn't find it anywhere, and then when I realized maybe I should just climb and look from above, I found it instantly. So definitely encouraged you to work with that verticality and travel upwards. And it was pretty reasonable for Remy to do it. I didn't use Devinda or Layla, so I had limited movement options, and yet I was able to pretty much navigate vertical space relatively easily anyway. Then you have to survive the onslaught of the vampires while you race to destroy the heart. Then you have to try to make it out before it collapses on you. These vampires don't like to make things easy. There is something almost beautiful about the nests, though. I mean, in a way, right, they are. They're like this weird supernatural recreation of the world that you already live in. They're fascinating. They're interesting. They're dangerous for that reason. So let's watch the little clip here. Nope. So all of these vampires are in like a blood trance. Or an energy trance.
Rise and shine.
Right.
Something shiny just came out of that heart. Oh God.
You gotta break through these chambers.
Thing looks breakable now. Last chance to look inside.
Ooh.
Gotta get out of here.
Blood remnant. And that's a door, right?
Oh God. I kept it out of here.
20 seconds. There it is. Right, okay. So, we were inside one of the vampire nests. This version of the vampire nests are actually, this is one that I've actually been in. So that's the vampire nest environment that I experienced as well, the same placement of things, those walls. So that was really familiar to me. It's a very linear nest. I'm not sure if they get a lot more complicated, but mine was very straight down the path, very just walking forward, a little bit of verticality on either side if you just want to look at different things, but not necessarily like a twisty, convoluted world. It's very simple to get through. And I think because it really only gives you that small amount of time to break through all those little chambers and whatnot. I mean, maybe they don't necessarily need to be convoluted, because if they are, it's a lot harder to go back and get to all those little chambers, collect all the things you need to collect to get out. And you see hidden things like the blood remnants. You get the nest remnant, and all these things kind of piece together the story. And the more that you find, the more that you'll learn and uncover about the world of Redfall. So you don't want to make it too hard to traverse these places because you do learn so much from them, but you also want to make it a challenge. So yeah, I'm not too sure if they're all super convoluted places, or if they're all pretty standard, linear, like easy to traverse type thing, and it's mainly like combat that's going to be your challenge. As you can see, there'll be vampires that are stuck in a trance and they're connected psychically. If you disrupt one, you disrupt anyone that's connected to that one. And then you've got the blood, like what I think is the blood trance. So you've got these victims, which they're not alive. I thought maybe they were vampires that were alive, but there are actual human victims that are, I guess, their life force or their blood or whatever is being transferred to the heart to keep it beating. So I'm unsure if these people are replaced every now and then or what's going on there, but you do have to just sort of end the trance, and usually there's a voice line, you know, that they feel sorry for these people when that happens as well. So did we... Right, okay. So we've already heard this from Devinda. So there we go. Next slide. The night manager. You've finally tracked down the night manager. He's holed up in the basement of an auto repair shop. There are cultists everywhere outside, and some light surveillance shows hostages in the basement with him, surrounded by barrels of gasoline and more cultists. You could probably clear out those enemies pretty quickly by blowing up those barrels, but the civilians are in the line of fire. Now, I even think the Nahat gasoline station was featured in one of the past trailers as well. We actually get a field note from Remy, so I'm really excited to listen to this one.
I came to Redfall to work with the Coast Guard on their search and rescue tech. I wanted to help them help people faster, easier, with fewer casualties. But looking around Redfall now, there are so many people who couldn't be saved. These blood-sucking creeps made any initial rescue attempts impossible. But I won't give up. There are still people out there holding out hope for rescue, and I, Ambribon, won't let them down.
That's so sad. I mean, that's Remy's thing, is she's... her whole, like... I don't know if it was her whole life she did it for, but for a really long time, like, her life has been search and rescue. And, you know, she's been in situations that are dangerous that she couldn't save people, but maybe not to this scale. And I think it would be really discouraging for her to see just how much loss of life has happened and how many people she can't save, even when they're within her grasp. And it's because this danger that she is fighting is so much bigger than anything else she's ever encountered. And yeah, that would just be completely heartbreaking to constantly be in a situation where you could potentially help people, but also know that it's very unlikely you're going to be successful. And if you are, it's a miracle. And sometimes you just have to walk away from certain situations because it's not possible. And that would be, yeah, incredibly heartbreaking and devastating. But all of these heroes, they want to try, and they're definitely good people at heart. I'm not really sure about what Jacob's opinion is on saving hostages, because I haven't really heard that opinion from him, but everyone else seems to have like a compassion and empathy, and that's what they want to do. Maybe Jacob's a bit more holed up on actually destroying the threat, which would make sense for his career path. She has to decide whether it's more important to just destroy the night manager by destroying the gas station, which would kill the hostages inside, or, you know, find another way. And again, I really I just love this, right? I love this because this is the core of what I love about Arcane in general, is just that the choices. You have choices, and you can make these choices in the game. This isn't just the interactive media game that you can like choose A or B. You can do this yourself in their games. You can decide. And I love that you can character build in that way. And yeah, these characters already exist, and like they're not based on you, like you're not doing custom character creation, but you can like create a story for them. You can decide whether or not they hold to who they are or whether they change because of what's happening, you know. And that is just so cool. I mean, I don't really know how much consequence plays into Redfall, and probably not very much because of the nature of the game. But still, that feeling is there, right? So you can be chaotic, or you can choose to be the superhero. And you know what? Like, that in itself gives you a different experience. It's the difference between the experiences of all the players that are playing this game, is whether or not they made these decisions. And no one is making the exact same decision every single time, in the same exact way. I feel like there's too many variables, especially in an open world game like this as well. Well, I mean, we experienced it throughout the entirety of this interactive media experiences. Do you go down the side streets? Do you use the rooftops? Do you go down here? Now, maybe those would have ended up with an end, right? So you're forced to go a certain way, and maybe we'll go back and try and figure out if that's the case. But also, we might have been able to find this place through using the side streets and maybe skipping over the nest or whatever. And that would have been a complete experience, but in a different way. And that's, like, I think the whole point of a game like Redfall, right? So, yeah, I'm really hyped. I'm really hyped for this. And I think we're just going to try and find a way to help the hostages inside. The friendly neighborhood half-witch. It took time, precious resources, and a bit of blood, but you managed to take out the night manager and save every single hostage in that basement. It's nice to see the vampires haven't totally bled this town dry of the little good that remains. Amazing. So let's watch the clip. Oh, I muted it. Oop. This is the thing, isn't it? You have to be so careful with your combat too. Those barrels are everywhere. You could go in with the intention of saving these people, and that might not happen. Yeah, it's easy for us to click an option, right? But when you're in the game... Oh, that's close. If you miss that shot... Like, I don't know if that specific barrel was combustible, or must not be because it doesn't have an outline, but you know what I mean, like... Even where the hostages are sitting, they're sitting in gas, you know? So, you know, things don't always go your way either, and that's, you know, the beauty of it too. But that's it. That's it for the experience. I mean, I'm going to go back and just see what happens if we had gone down the side streets, particularly is what I'm most interested in. Or the birds, what the birds were circling. Well, let's go back and have a look at those things. But I loved this. I love this so much. I mean, in a way, I just want to jump into the game. You know what I mean? Like, I'm scared getting into these things because I don't want the experience spoiled for me before I jump in. I mean, I've already played the game. I guess in a way, it's giving everyone the experience to kind of have time in the game before the game releases, which is nice. It's in a way kind of a demo, right? But yeah, at the same time, I'm like, oh, don't spoil it. I want to find these things, you know. And I'm sure, you know what, there's probably so much more. I mean, I remember looking at the map and looking at all the places that I could go, and I didn't touch more than like maybe 25% of the game. Like, realistically looking back, I had all that time. I traveled through so much and interacted with so much, but there was still so much I was missing every time. And so I guess in a way, as much as I'm like, oh, I just want to play the game, but really, you're not revealing too much by this. Honestly, there wasn't too much that even I noticed was, you know, a bit worrying to have everyone know beforehand or anything like that. It's just a little tidbit. Now we know something's happening here with the night manager, you know, and there are so many underbosses. So this is just one of those, you know what I mean? I had a really good time. I really liked that we got a little bit of insight, and it hyped us up to really be the person exploring Redfall, making these decisions, I think, as well. So that was really fun. Let's jump into it again and maybe like jump to where we were up to. Let's do alternate. So let's go let's move along for now. Let's go keep moving. Maybe we could use magical elevator or make a run for it through the smoke. Let's do the less chaotic one, use the elevator, not hurt ourselves. Up and over. Oh, cool, another one. I guess those elevators are good for more than just hoisting Jacob up into his sniper perches. Very clever, Layla. Now show us what else you can do. Let's watch the clip.
Going up.
Right, let's watch that again.
Going up.
That's what I thought. Right, okay. So she must maybe has the upgraded part of the ability where you can put down multiple elevators at a time. I thought you could only do one, but I guess you can update it or upgrade it so you can have multiple. And then she kind of does this bunny hop thing to get over, which is just so smart. Let's listen to the field notes for this one.
The Many Uses of On-Demand Elevators by Layla Ellison. Reaching the top shelf at the grocery store so I don't have to awkwardly ask a super tall person for help. No more dumb wobbly ladders for putting up holiday decorations.
No ladders, fuck ladders.
Saving cats from being stuck in trees like the hero I aspire to be.
I'm sure there are many cats to save in trees in Redfall.
Surprising vampires who previously thought humans more or less kept both feet on the ground, then staking the crap out of them.
Good use.
Lifting my pals into the air when they need it, even if they don't say thank you. Jacob.
Right, okay, cool. So up and over, and then we're out in the open again. So let's go side streets. That's where I wanted to go. Alrighty, down the alley. The alley is quiet. Save for distant shouts of cultists. Which is never a good sign. You're also pretty near a house, Reverend Eva. New character. Introduction. Asked you to check out. Might be worth lending her a hand. Wow, okay, so we really do delve into like another whole... Do we deal with the cultist or do we go straight into the house? Can we go back to the house after? I think this is a choice. I think I'm going to go to the house. That seems interesting. That seems really interesting. And then we can go back to the rooftops. Right, okay, so we could have peered down the side streets, seen my options, and then gone back to the rooftop. So that's good to know. All right, Slayers and Airwaves. Let's listen to Jacob's field notes.
Reverend Eva, Anna, and the Doc are all doing their best to make this island safe for the survivors. Every day, more and more people go missing, thanks to vamps and their thick-headed cultists. But the folks at the fire station make sure no one is losing their minds. At least, no more than they already were. So when Eva wants us to hunt down some radio DJ's vampire survival tips because she thinks they'll help out survivors, we agree and go on our way. No need for backtalk.
Okay. Well, you know what? This kind of goes back to what I was saying earlier about Jacob. But you know what? It's interesting. Like he's doing it because it'll help survivors, right? But it's almost like he's talking about it like it's a mission because it's been given to him by someone. You know what I mean? He has this really interesting, complicated psyche. All right, let's You managed to get Bill's survival tips over to the Dead Catch records. Too bad you didn't have time to browse for new tunes while you were there. Jacob probably would have been grateful for something new to listen to at the forward encampment. All right, so let's watch the clip. Got them lasers to worry about. Fuel on the ground for some reason. Hack it with a rewire kit. I mean, you can shoot them. You can destroy them. You don't have to use a rewire kit on them. Oh, there's a note. Bill's note. Eva, this is the recording we made. If something happens to me, get this to Dead Catch Records and put it on the air. Get the word out about these bloodsuckers. If I somehow manage to survive all of this, I'm going to get a live broadcast going again, and it won't be about cars this time. God bless, Bill. All right, so Bill, obviously, he's like a radio person. I don't know if maybe they have like a proper station we can listen to, kind of like a Fallout or something. Is he like a 3-dog? You know, that would be really cool. Yeah. All right. Maybe it's how we come across these people in the first place too. There's Dead Catch Records. Band customer. Do not let Byron in the record shop. He's always been harassing me and Millie in really unsettling ways, like inviting us to his basement. And this was the last time. This last time he was acting high, and I swear I saw blood under his fingernails. Maybe he was just picking his nails, but either way, the guy's a creep. April. Oh my god, that is too close to home to someone who worked in retail. And like, I say too close to home, like, yes. You know what I mean? Like, that is alarming. Yes. People who work in retail deal with this shit. More readable? Birthday message. That was Alone With You by the Denim Backpacks, dedicated to my lovely wife and occasional co-host, Millie Nightingale. It's her birthday today, and I promised I wouldn't embarrass her, but since she's working the record store today and can't physically stop me, I'll say this. Millie, you're sweeter than the pies you bake. Your laugh is infectious and should be studied by the CDC. I love you and can't wait to spend another year with you. That's all from me today, folks. I'm April Weber, and I'll be here again tomorrow, same time, same place. How cute! I love that. Millie and April. Alrighty. Oh god, another, do not let Colin into the building. Yeah, what are they dealing with? I'm just reading the notes up on that board. Oh, Bellwether soldiers. Yeah, let's go, Jason.
You mess with it, Ron.
Oh, they're cultists, not Bellwether. Oh god. Ah! 2 of them. Take that one. Get out of here. A little chaotic. Right? She's got the key.
Hey, Redfall, this is Bill here from Bill and Bob's Auto Hour. This is a
What a done.
broadcast for the people of Redfall. It might be hard to believe, but there are vampires roaming our streets. The only way to kill one is with a stake through the heart.
Nice. I like that. And that's the thing, like, you could choose not to do that, but if you do, like, you're helping the people of Redfall, right? Alright. So, that was an experience. Learned a little bit more about, like, the people of Redfall, the stories that we'll encounter, and, yeah, I mean, hey, we've got a radio station. Cool, right? And that's the night manager stuff. So let's just continue this and play again. And then we'll go back to the... So, keep moving. No, I need to keep moving. Okay, let's run through it. Let's see what happens when we run through it. So-called Death Mist. Did you think the name was meant to be scary? Sure. You might be able to handle a little bit of toxic mist, but you spent too long breathing it in this time. Give it another go, and this time use that big I can't speak. Give it another go, and this time use that big post-grad brain of yours. Let's watch the clip. Oh, that was... You died. Very Dark Souls. Alright, so, I mean, clearly, hey, look, sometimes it works, and sometimes it doesn't, okay? So, it looks like this time it didn't. Let's just use the elevator to go around, and let's go to the rooftop. Oh, wait, no, let's go to the cultists. So, let's go to the side streets and choose the cultists. Alright, and we've got Remy field notes.
Where I'm from, people help each other in crisis. We support each other. We take care of our own. There are always creeps who take advantage of the horrible situations and steal or loot or kick the people who are already down. They exist, but they aren't the majority. Here in Redfall, these cultists have taken over the island with the vamps. They've sacrificed their own neighbors to the vampires, hoping for something in return. They're going down for what they've done to good people who just needed help.
Yes. Yes, they are. Alright. The night rally. The cultists are at it again, shouting into their megaphones and spreading terror on behalf of their fanged masters. Thankfully, you're here to take out the trash. Alright, let's watch the clip.
Everybody knows it's over. Everybody except you.
You're just big.
Not so fast. Watch out. More coming in.
Wrong dude, bro.
Go away.
Go away. Right. Cool. So we destroyed the 3 weak spots. So I get that we're destroying these strong points of the effigy, but what is that really doing? And I guess it's powering their ability to speak over Redfall. Like, is it transmitting what they're saying, or is it doing something for the vampires? I don't fully understand the effigies and what's going on here. And maybe I'm just being slow, but either it's I think it must be spreading the cultists' message. That must be what's going on here, and that's why we're destroying it. So the more effigies that we go out of our way to destroy, you know, the cultists can't get their message out there. They don't grow stronger. They grow weaker. So there we go. That is destroying the cultists, and we'll move through as well to save everyone and continue to keep moving. And then let's check out what's going on with the birds. What's happening with the birds here? All right, so Remy, I think, again? Yeah.
After fighting the Shroud, there are some things I want to remember for next time. First, it seems like she's playing with her food when she fights. It's disturbing. Second, she can bring on a darkness so black it's impossible for us to see through. Third, she disappears underground, making it hard to pin her down. Guess she's a coward. Fourth, she's always looking for attention, and apparently fighting counts as giving her exactly what she wants. Fifth, I bet I can lure her into a trap when she pops up. Some C4 or an electrical box might do the trick. And finally, Bribon does not like her.
Understandable. Have a nice day. All right, let's watch the clip. Wait, first, let's read this. The birds. Why can't the weirdness here ever be good weirdness? Wouldn't it have been nice to just... Wait. All right, so let's read this. The birds. Why can't the weirdness here ever be good weirdness? Wouldn't it have been nice if all the birds were circling a pot of gold or something? This is just another horrible example of the new normal in Redfall. Neighbors turning on neighbors. Oh god. Neighbors turning on neighbors, making terrible deals with the monsters hiding in the dark. Or in this case, monsters hiding in hilltop graveyards. All right, let's watch the clip. A notebook to read. Flares observed. Excerpt from an English lit teacher's journal. Entry 1. I fired the flare at the top of the hill near the cemetery. The bargain is struck. The ink still wet and warm on the turf. A few months ago, I was failing to cultivate an appreciation for wild and, I'm already having a hard enough time reading everything. I'm gonna skip that one. Oh, I can't scroll. But today I left one zip tied by the gravestones, and truth is I don't recall if they were one of my students, one of those snickering little shits glued to their TikToks, and Instagrams. Oh my god. On their boring little screens, but I like to imagine they were. I couldn't see much through the scope, only a darkness which fell on the hill like a heavy curtain, a shroud, if you will. I could hear the screams well enough. Right. Entry 2. She visited me tonight. After, she gave me a sip. Not enough to change me, but I felt the blood trance for the first time. Life without limit. And... goddamn English teachers. An Empyrean? An Empyrean? Ocean of crimson? Entry 3. I found a lamb of all things, wandering alone, but she did not appreciate it. I'm learning her palate. Oh. God. I don't like this English teacher. Entry 4. This time too. Siblings, I think. Not an abundance of blood, but together they'll make an adult-sized morsel and twice the fun. God. Entry 5. It's my time to ascend at last. I assume the dark mantle. Enter the never-ending blood chance. Only now I must find my own understudy to bring me the ambrosia of life. Entry 6. Here the handwriting changes. This is Hank. I'm taking over. Filling this out like you asked. I brought him some numbnuts. Hiding out in the basement of the Nahant. Followed instructions with a flare and all. If you're happy, I'm happy. Oh god. What are they circling? And disturbing though, like people who wanna serve them, you know? It's scary. Feeding them children? Yuck. It would make sense that Jake doesn't trust his crow friend, you know? Shit like this. Oh. So, is this the Shroud? Or is this, like, the Shroud's copycat? Because they've definitely got a Shroud. Ew, they're so gooey. Maybe, I'm assuming that was, like, the teacher or something that, like, turned into a vampire. Because I think the Shroud is the Shroud, and we've seen the Shroud before, and I don't think she looked like that. So, I guess the Wailing Shadow is the copycat. I guess. Ew. Ah! Alright, well now we're up to the Night Manager again. You know what? Let's choose A. I've been choosing B every time. Let's choose A. What happens if we just decide to blow up in a heart and not worry about the people inside? Just as bad as they are. Oh, don't tell me that. The fire burns hot and fast, and you have minimal cleanup to do. The Night Manager and his cultists were badly damaged, making them easy prey. Too bad he had to sacrifice some innocent lives to finish them off. You got the job done, but at what cost? Let's watch the clip. Ah! It does. It does make it a lot easier, doesn't it? And got the underboss skull. There you go. I mean, that's the thing. It might go that way even if you don't intend it to go that way. Alright, let's play again just so I can double check that I've gone through pretty much everything that I can go through. I'll just do shiny again. Just oh yeah, it's this thing. The retail therapy, keep moving. This one we use the elevator to get past. Out in the open. I mean, I guess there's head down the street. Could head down the street. Face any danger head on. Fools rush in. Really should have learned that now, that rushing headlong through the streets of Redfall is a good way to end up the victim of death by exsanguination. A terrible way to go, honestly. Whoa! You died. I died. What a shame. Alright, so that's it. That's it. What an experience we've had. What a journey. Right? That was fun. I really enjoyed that. Again, it's like a really good way to get a glimpse into what we're going to get in the game. It's a good introduction to decision making again. Particularly if you're new to arcane games, you know, that is a major kind of thing in a lot of these games. There's different ways to do things, and they don't always have consequences. I know we built up and we had this whole thing about consequences matter, you know, especially in games like Dishonored, but as we've learnt through the development of like Deathloop and Redfall, as you experience certain type of gameplay styles and certain worlds, you know, consequences aren't as, they don't exactly matter as much as they did in previous games, which I don't know if this game will have alternative endings or anything like that. I think it's hard to do when you're playing like a multiplayer situation. It might change the way that certain lines go, certain people respond to you, you know, doing the missions, kind of like in a Fallout 76 or something like that. Sometimes there can be minor differentiations in the way that when you go to, you know, end the mission or something, you go to talk to someone, the way that they respond to the way that you handled it can change. But I'm not too sure. I mean, I got to play the game a little bit, but not that in-depthly. So, you know, it'd be really interesting to see how much choice matters past how we feel when we play the game, and how it actually affects the world as well. So, that'll be really interesting to explore. I think we've delved quite a lot into the world of Redfall through this game. We've got an idea and a taste of, you know, kind of all the different enemies that we can come across, the depth of the stories. We've gotten a good in-depth look at the world, how we can piece together little stories by finding these notes around the place. It'll give us context, it'll help us understand what's happening around us, and maybe even help us make those decisions as well. So I really loved this. I really enjoyed it. Thank you so much for being on this journey with me. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed. Really, really excited. I'm really hyped. Not that long now. So thank you guys so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed. I'm going to be covering more Redfall in the future, especially when the game comes out. I'm going to be making content on other Arcane games and other games in general. So make sure to hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. And yeah, I'll see you on the next one. Bye, guys.